Welcome to Funnel Hacker Radio Podcast, where we go behind the scenes and uncover the tactics and strategies top entrepreneurs are using to make more sales, dominate their markets, and how you can get those same results. Here's your host, Dave Woodward.
Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm so excited to have you guys here today because today you have the opportunity of hearing from Alex Moscow. Alex, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Dave. Excited to be here.
One of the things that, again, people always ask me about, and it's something I'm really excited to really kind of explore with you since you're really kind of the world's leading expert in working with coaches to make sure they really own their value and more importantly that they're able to really find a way of getting high-end clients with integrity. And it's a topic that, a lot of people talk a lot about but really rarely ever do. And I think the cool thing is I was taking a look at some of the stuff you've been doing, and I know one of the things you were talking about earlier was the fact you're able to run high-impact events with retreats of really about 6 to 16, 20 people, and yet the coach can walk away with somewhere, plus six figures type of thing in less than 3 days. And so that's one of the things I want to make sure we cover today. But before we do that, I'd like to kind of talk a little more about your story because as we were talking just a few minutes ago, you're a guy who's really kind of focused and working with entrepreneurs to help them do a lot of public speaking and to work really as far as crafting their message so they can sell high-end products and things. And yet you're a guy, as I recall, who basically had a fear of talking to people. And also, I think you also mentioned the fact that you have a history as far as being a stutterer. Is that correct?
That is correct, my friend. That is correct.
Do you mind kind of explaining a little bit of how a guy who's struggling with stuttering actually has been able to overcome that as well as the fear of public speaking to now where you're actually the leading guy teaching other people how to do this?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was younger, clinical speech therapy never really worked for me. And so I've been into personal development and spirituality and, the self-help field, for my whole life. And so I was brought to my first seminar when I was 19, and it changed my whole perception around, who I saw myself as and what I saw as possible for myself. So, as I got into going to different seminars and live events around, being the best version of yourself, getting rid of limiting beliefs, all that stuff, like I was able, which is really weird for someone who stutters, is that I was able to attract really amazing mentors into my life. And so I've had really amazing mentors who have shown me the possibility, who saw a greater potential in myself saw greater potential in me than I saw for myself.
That's fascinating. I know that it's one of the things I'm sure is why you do what you do now is you've kind of been paying that forward because of all the help that you got in the past. Is that correct?
Yeah, and also I believe that, everyone's here for a reason. And I believe that we all have unique gifts and unique talents. And I believe if you have those, or if you haven't found those yet, how we find those, we go back into our story of where we came from. And so for me, like I have, two main brands, the one that you spoke about, Small Events, Big Profits, helping coaches and experts to do high impact events and retreats, 6 to 16 people walk away with 6 figures in 3 days. So that's, helping people speak from stage, putting on events, making, high-end mastermind offers from stage. And I have another one on high-end sales, which is effortless enrollment, how to sell high-end programs with owning your value and complete integrity and truth. And so it's like, if you look at what I do, it's like so much of my story has been like healing that within myself and owning that within myself. And I believe, as a coach or an expert, oftentimes we are teaching the thing that we needed to learn most in life.
I love that. I totally agree with you on that. Well, we just recently came back from Grant Cardone's event where Russell spoke to almost 9,000 people and, walked away with over $3 million in sales. But I'm fascinated by the fact that you could actually create a retreat of 6 to 16 people and walk away with six figures in 3 days. So if you don't mind, I'd love to kind of explore how in the world you do something like that.
Totally. So I believe in this day and age, like our customers are more sophisticated, and I believe I'm in my market, in the coaching and expert market. I believe in all markets in general, but especially in this one, that our clients are craving intimacy. Like they've been sold so many online courses, they've been through so many product launch formulas, and I believe our clients are craving intimacy and access. So in working with 1,000 different coaches for the past 9 years, I have discovered that, there's so many, I've talked to so many different coaches who said, I'll do an event someday, I'll do a seminar someday, I'll do a workshop someday. And I don't know if you're familiar with this, Dave, but my experience is someday rarely ever happens. And so there's all these different stories of, well, I need to be at this level. I need to be making this amount of money. I need to have this amount of clients. I'm not experienced yet. I'll do a seminar when. And so a lot of them, and a big belief was that they had to have, 100, 200, 300 people in a seminar room for it to be profitable. And what I found is actually, rather than going wider, I believe go narrow and deep. So in my small events, big profits model, like I say, rather than going to the masses, just get the right people there, get the right people in the room. And so I have clients like Katerina Satori, and I think this story is really relevant to what you shared, is that she wanted 20 people at her retreat, and she got a week before I was coaching her, and she had 5 people there, and she was like, I only have 5, and she was like, she was tears, she was so upset. She's like, hey, these people are here, they showed up, I'm gonna show up at my best, there's 20 there. And out of those 5 people, she was able to do $110,000 from those 5 people.
That's crazy.
And at a smaller event, why I believe it's so impactful is because you can share your content, and you can also answer questions. So, with a bigger seminar, you have to, there's maybe influence techniques you're using. Your presentation has to be so clean and polished. Whereas in a smaller event, you can just talk, and you can ask questions. Hey, is this landing? Hey, what's been your biggest insight? You can get the feedback from your audience. And I also believe to attract and enroll, your dream clients, you need to be the most authentic and expressed version of yourself. So in a small event, when you can, when you just be, I believe that when there's a framework to follow, yes, and when you bring your own flavor of who you are into it, that's what creates results like that.
So on these small events then, Alex, are you having people, are they coming, have they already paid a high ticket to get there, and then you're pitching them on a higher thing? What's the format as far as the actual event?
Yeah, so it varies. What I teach in my programs is called a premium core offer. So that comes with a online course, a Q&A for 6 to 8 weeks, and a private Facebook group, and then a live event. So that's like a traditional product launch formula type of model, but instead of charging $1,000 to $2,000, I say charge $3,000 to $10,000 for it. So a lot of my clients are using that, where they'll sell that course, and then they get a ticket to that event as a bonus. Or I have clients who are that the ticket price for that's anywhere. It's usually $2,000 to $5,000.
So it's a $2,000 to $5,000 coaching program for 6 to 8 weeks, and then at the end is a live event that they are able to come to. So they've already gotten some results from you, and now they come to the event, and then at that event you're pitching them a higher end product.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So how are you selling the front end piece? Is that through a webinar? Is that straight traffic, application? What's your process to sell the first product?
Yeah, great question. So that varies. There's some of my clients who are using webinar funnels or just different types of online funnels that drive to an application, and that's sold over the phone. And another big strategy that I use as well is speaking. So I'm a big fan of sponsoring live events. It's like you can pay for traffic, and you can also pay for live traffic. So I look at a sponsorship for an event, like if if someone were to sponsor Grant's event, they pay a certain amount to be on stage, and then they're in front of 9,000 people. So I also have my clients sponsor or just speak on the different stages for that as well.
I love that idea. I was talking with Pete Vargas about that a while back, and something we're looking at doing for ClickFunnels, and some of us, kind of a speaking team, we're looking at putting together. So on that, what's the average cost you're seeing as far as for a sponsorship? How many people are there? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so that varies per industry. In my experience, most if you go to the bigger events, like of the bigger name influencers who've been doing it for a while, you're going to look, for 100 people in the room, your sponsorship, if you have, there's so many different variables, can you make an offer? Are you speaking to sell, or are you just giving something away for free where you make your money on the back end? So for myself, I usually go for a smaller spot, because I'm not selling everything that I do is higher end. And so it's closed over the phone. So I'll take like a lower speaking spot because I'm just going to make a free offer for a consultation with me. And so that's usually anywhere from, if there's like 100 to 200 people in the room, you're looking at anywhere from 10 to 20,000 for that. If you want to speak and sell like a main stage spot, you're looking 25 to like 40,000 usually.
Okay. And how much time are you getting to on stage to sell or to pitch your, at least even your free stuff?
Yeah, so for like a free spot to make, or excuse me, for a spot to make a free offer, you're usually looking 45 to 60 minutes. And then for a main stage spot, that's usually a 90-minute spot where you can make an offer.
Fantastic. So on something like that, you obviously you really have to know your numbers and what you can typically. So like take for example on a webinar, we're typically looking at something like that where if we'll just use 100 people. If 100 people basically register for the webinar, you're going to get about a 30% to 40% show up rate. So you got 30 to 40 people on there, and then you're going to close anywhere from 10 to 20% of that. So you're looking at 3 to 6, 7 people on a webinar type of deal for 100 people. So in an event where you got 100 people, these people all typically are these. I'm assuming most of those are probably paid events that you're speaking at.
Yes, that's correct.
So these are people who they're much more of a high qualified person than a person that would say be on a webinar, because these guys have not only paid money to attend the event, but they've also taken 2 to 3 days out of their time. They also have paid for travel and hotel, and so you've got a much more qualified buyer. Correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, and then on that, so on your, let's say if it's $10,000 you're spending for 100 people, and you're sitting in front of those people, and you're giving them an offer. Is it for a free consult with you? Is that kind of your most common offer?
Yeah. So I'll break down my last sponsorship in detail. Is that cool?
Okay, that'd be great. Love it.
Cool. So I spoke at an event for coaches on how to run masterminds. So that's a great event for me because I teach how to sell masterminds. And so I invested. It was like $15,000 for the sponsorship. It was a 60-minute speaking spot. It was during lunch, and I can make a free offer. So during lunch is not the most optimal because you have to fight over people's food. So, but I did that event last year. I did really well, and so it was $15,000 for that, and then flying out my team, and for all of the branding and stuff, I was in for about 18 grand after expenses. So 18 grand in, I did a 60-minute speaking spot, made a free offer, and then I also had a sponsor booth for the 3 days too. So I would highly suggest anyone who sponsors get that booth, and that booth can triple the amount of revenue that you make there if you know how to work it right. So I spoke during lunch. I made an offer for a business engine upgrade session. That's the name of my consult, where I help someone get crystal clear on who their dream client is. I help them get crystal clear on what's the message to attract them and what high-end program is going to be attractive in the pricing structure and the model for that. So that was what my offer was. It was free. I did it for free, and it was a $497 no-show fee. So they have to put their credit card down, show they're serious. If they show up to the call, nothing is charged. If they cancel 24 hours in advance, nothing is charged. But if they don't show up and they don't call and let us know, then their card is charged for $497. That clear?
Very cool. Yeah, I love that.
Cool. So yeah, I got in my VIP lunch, like, so it was a lunch for the VIPs. There was about 68, 69 people in the room, I believe. I did 22 applications from that, and I closed 11, and I did 121,500 in sales, and I collected 75,000 cash, or 76,000 cash.
That's fantastic. So basically, you've got 68 highly qualified people. You got a 33% close rate on apps, and then from those apps, you converted 50% of those.
Yes.
And so an $18,000 investment basically brought you in $75K.
Yeah, $75K, and then the additional. I'm only half Asian, so my math only works half the time, Dave. Let me put that in. So that's about it's about 50,000 extra. It's about 50,000 extra in contract because I did 121,500 in contract. So the extra 50,000 or so what was collected over the next 3 months.
That's fantastic. So we'll just say, you know what, you invested 18,000 and made 118 or 120,000 on the deal.
Yeah.
So a 10x multiple on your investment.
Yeah, I think it's important, especially in this industry, to be really clear on cash collected.
I totally agree with you on that.
Yeah, so like that's why I want to be really clear because it's different. Oh, I did $100,000 in sales. How much cash did you collect? Well, I collected 500 in cash. Yeah, very very interesting. The way that experts position things.
Oh, it's so funny. We actually refer to that as stomper math. It comes from the old days of StomperNet, where they would basically say, "Oh yeah, we sold this monthly product at $1,000 a month, and if everybody stayed on for the next 12 months, we would make X." I'm like, well, first of all, no one stays on for 12 months in a continuity program, and you didn't collect all that, so usually it's about a tenth of what they actually would say. So I totally understand the stomper math aspect of how a lot of coaches kind of say how much they made. So I appreciate you being that transparent and open about it, Alex. That's very, very cool. Well, I love what you're doing, and especially this whole idea of going out and speaking at other people's events to fill your own events. And so now that you've got, so from those 11 people that you sold, they now are into you for 100K or whatever it is, and then some of those people also are going to attend a live event with you at your event, basically, and then you're going to upsell them as well.
Yes, that's correct.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
Like I'll be making offers because I think about it like this, and I think this is really important. So whether it's a webinar or stage presentation, like I give everything. So it's like I give you everything that I could in this 90-minute webinar. Like I wish I could teach you everything that you need to know to enroll high-end clients in 90 minutes. But the truth is that that's just not how it works. So if this has been valuable for you, then this is what I have next. So like at my 3-day event, like I give it all. I say, hey, here's everything that you need to know. If you can take this information and go out and implement it on your own, great. But how many other events have you been to where you said, oh, my life's going to change, and then you're back at a different seminar, 3 months later? I call that seminar syndrome. So I believe to really help our clients. Like we need to work with them for 6 months to a year and beyond. Like I
totally agree with you on that. Oh my gosh, anybody who's listening to that, I know Alex just went over that real quick, but realize the only way you can help your clients is to really get the value that you can provide to them is over a long-term relationship, which does require a high-end selling type of thing. And if it's 6 months to a year or 2 or 3 years, whatever it might be, I think I'm a huge believer in that.
Totally, and I believe in business development. It's like if someone can't afford my higher end programs, yeah, cool, then come to my event, like learn it, go implement. And I have clients who do that. I have clients who invest their last couple $1,000s, and then they come back a couple months later like, oh my goodness, like I can invest in the higher end stuff now. And I believe that in my field, in the vertical that I'm in, that's the way that it should be. Like I tell my clients, like my program should never cost you money. Like if you take action, if you implement what's there, like there should be so much abundance from it that's not even a second thought. I believe that's how like business development programs should be.
I completely agree with you on that. We've taken the same approach here at ClickFunnels, is to make sure that any type of a coaching program, it shouldn't be. You should basically be able to not only make your money back, but make more than enough to then invest at the next level as well. So I think that's a great philosophy, especially from anyone who's out there doing coaching.
Totally. Is it cool if I give one little tip on that?
I'd love it. Yeah.
I think what's so like, especially in the online marketing space, so the internet marketing, the expert space, like, you're obviously familiar with split testing, right?
Of course.
So I believe so. Everyone split tests, headlines, they split test landing pages, they split test on the actual marketing. What hardly anyone, if anyone, ever split tests is coaching programs. Like what program is going to get my client a better result? Is it this version or this version? Very, very few people. I have talked to, I don't think anybody who actually does that. So what I believe to really help our clients is that our clients need to be trained in how to use coaching programs. Like a lot of people have never used one before. They don't know how to take advantage of it. And so I believe how to get our clients the best results possible is to actually like train them how to use course. Like one of the greatest like impacts that I've had in my business is the onboarding process, because I believe how it starts is how it finishes. So the onboarding process is actually that sales call, the enrollment call. That's why I'm so passionate about it, because it's the entire foundation for the whole relationship. But the onboarding call I'm referring to is the call after that of how do you set your client up for success. That piece alone of implementing that it's what's really attributed to helping my clients get the amazing results that they do. I mean,
man, that is fantastic. Oh
yeah,
my gosh,
they work their ass off and do the work, but that's been a key factor for that too.
Oh, that is so cool. Can you share just a couple of things that you're doing on your onboarding to generate that kind of success?
Oh, you ask great questions, Dave. I love this. Yeah, so like I got this one from my girlfriend Jennifer Hootie, who has like an incredible copywriting agency for people like Joe Polish, Dean Graziosi, and some of the top influencers. And so I learned this from her. I got to give her credit on it. The communication framework, or you can call it a communication framework or a communication conversation of how honest do you want your feedback to be. Like, so when we're coaching you, like how honest do you want it to be? Like on a scale from 1 to 10. And then what does that number look like for you? Like that question alone, I think is a game changer, because it lets you get on the same page as your client as to like how they actually communicate and how they receive feedback. Because some like it really direct and spot on, and others don't. Others that really doesn't work for them. So I found that's been monumental. Another one of my favorite questions is I ask in my onboarding process. We'll go through what's the number one problem that you're looking to us to solve in this program. Why are you committed to succeeding in your life and in this program right now? That's another gem. And this is my favorite one is how might you mess this up?
I love that.
Because honestly, Dave, my perspective is that like there's so much business strategy out there. Like you can like literally everything or most of the stuff that I teach. So you can go on YouTube, you can Google it. You can Google anything now. I believe information is not transformation. It's not. Information is not transformation. So I believe when you're looking for a coach, like do they have the coaching ability to see the blind spots that I don't see for myself? Like when I'm going through when my own limiting beliefs come up and my own negative patterns come up to keep me small, like can my coach call me forward to take action on what I need to actually do? So that's why like I asked that question of how might you mess this up? It's like what pattern should I be aware of how you will keep yourself small? Because if you are left to your own devices, that's what you do. That's why you're in the program in the first place. So I believe that the programs that have the highest client success ratios, which I'm so grateful that I have a lot of people saying that mine does, it's because that I get really clear on that even with the best business strategy, if they don't believe it themselves, if they don't believe that they can do it, then they're not going to actually go out there and take action on it.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Oh, we're gonna have another call later, because I think this whole idea as far as onboarding for the coaching is really where most people screw up any coaching program. They might be real good at selling it, but getting the results comes down to that onboarding. I had hired a coach right at the first of the year, and I actually had these kind of conversations with him, so it was kind of fascinating. So for me, if I was coaching with you and you'd ask me, how do you like to receive feedback? I prefer really direct. I hate when people kind of dance around it and everything else. Just be direct with me, especially if I'm hiring you as a coach. Just tell me what's wrong. Whereas I've got friends I know who that kind of just abrupt, blunt, in-your-face type of stuff is almost offensive. And so I think it's really important when you're coaching that you understand how they want that feedback. For me, as far as my number one problem to solve was the coach I had hired at that time was helping. It was basically it was based on the one thing. And so for me, my number one problem was I have way too many number one things. And so my number one problem was I wanted to help me focus on what's my most important problem, that by accomplishing that, everything else will become irrelevant or unnecessary. And then as far as how much you mess this up, for me, the easiest way for me to mess it up is taking, I will overcommit myself to too many different things and not achieve what I need to do in the amount of time I needed. So those types of onboarding are just huge, and I appreciate you taking the time to go through that. And I hope you guys who are listening to this, who are running coaching programs, understand the importance of this. It's one of the things, Alex, we're actually looking at from ClickFunnels standpoint is to start going out and doing more speaking on stages. And one of the things we've looked at offering possibly would be this type of a coaching. And then I love the idea as far as onboarding. And it does. It sets up the student for a ton more success. But I think, as you made mention, Alex, as the coach, it helps you really identify what you need to do. And again, it goes back to split testing. So thank you so much for sharing those.
Absolutely. I'll give you one last question, or one last little piece to like put the cherry on the sundae. Is after how might you mess this up? You want to ask, what steps can you put in place to prevent that from happening for yourself, so they take ownership of that. And then you ask, how can I as your coach, or how can my company, best support you in this as well?
Oh, I love that. I think too often people look at coaches as their savior instead of as a coach, and I think that's fantastic. I love how you put the ownership back on them. That's where it should be.
I believe that's what great coaching is, and like I tell my clients on the phone, like, I'm not looking for your money, I'm looking for really good clients. So if people are coming to me on my sales calls and they're saying, well, I was in this person's mastermind, I was in this person's coaching program, and it doesn't work, and I'd be like, hey, like, that's definitely a huge red flag for me. So, because like, I know people in those programs and they're working. So the common denominator in all those programs is you. So how do I know, like, why should I let you into my program when shit gets hard? Because building a business is hard. There are going to be things that you need to work through, and you think it doesn't work. Like, how do I know you're not going to go out there and tell them people my program doesn't work? Because I know my program works.
I love it. That's fantastic. Well, as we get kind of close to wrapping things up here, Alex, if people want to find out more about you or connect with you, what's the easiest way of doing it?
Yeah, so the easiest way of doing it would be if they go to my website. They can go to alexjmoscow.com, alexjmoscow.com. They can connect with me there, and also I have a bunch of free gifts on that site. And then if they want to connect with me directly, which people for you, Dave, and in the ClickFunnels community, is you can actually add me on Facebook. So facebook.com/alexjmoscow, ALEXJMOSCOW. And if you add me as a friend, but make sure that you shoot me a message as well, because I get a lot of requests, and if I don't get a message, then I'm probably not going to add you. So, and I would love to talk to you, but if you don't send the message, then it definitely makes it a little more difficult for me.
I appreciate you saying that. I get that from people all the time saying, Dave, I added you on Facebook as a friend. I'm like, I get blown up on friend requests, and I'm the same way. If you don't send me a personal message, I just don't even look at it. There's just too many people who just add a whole bunch of people, and I don't take the time to go through it. So I think that's a great way of doing it.
I agree.
Well, Alex, again, I truly appreciate all your time and your effort, and most importantly, the content and the value bombs here you've been dropping for our listeners. I know you said you've also got an event possibly coming up they could attend. Is that correct?
Yes. So what I wanted to do for you, Dave, in the ClickFunnels community is I have an event called the Exponential Enrollment Experience, and you can find that at exponentialenrollment.com. I'm sure that Dave will have a link on here. And that event, if you liked what I've shared on this podcast, just about really coming from a place of truth and integrity in your sales process, of really feeling authentic in making those offers into higher end programs and owning your value, that's what this event's all about. And I believe, like I said, to attract and enroll high end clients, you need to be the most authentic, expressed version of yourself. And I'll be teaching my method on congruent closing. This is the first time I've taught it to the public before, and with congruent closing, it's about being that amazing coach that you are, not just with your clients, but also in your sales process. Because no matter, people teach objection handling, and I know there's like the objection handler's Bible, and there's all sorts of like different scripts on how to handle people's objections. Yet, in my experience, that when you're dealing with an objection, that's someone's beliefs. That's their limitation. That's their belief of why they don't believe they can have something that they want. And people's excuses are infinite. They're unlimited. And so it doesn't matter how many different lines that you can say. That's not what's going to overcome the objection and start a really awesome long-term relationship with your client where you're going to help them change their life. With my congruent closing process, it's a process that's really going to help you own your value and also stand congruently in who you are and speak your truth in that enrollment process so that your client is truly empowered to say yes. You know, most closing processes, most other sales trainers, they'll teach you how to just get a deal done, get a yes. If that's what you want to do, that's fine, but this is not the event for you. Like my event is, my congruent closing process is empowering that person or enrolling them in a bigger vision for themselves, and then empowering them to make a decision to take action on that vision. So that's what the event's about. You can go to exponentialenrollment.com. I'm giving Dave and the ClickFunnels community special pricing on that ticket too. I'll give Dave those details and he can post them on this page of where it's going to be shared.
Cool. Well, Alex, again, appreciate your time today. Thank you so much. And I look forward to connecting with you real soon.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Dave.
You know, one of the things that means a ton to me is the personal reviews that you guys leave on iTunes. If you wouldn't mind going out, rate the show. Let me know how I'm doing. Just go to iTunes, click on the episode and rate it. Leave a comment. I read all the comments. I appreciate all the stars and everything everyone already left for me. Again, I really appreciate it. And it's my way of finding out how I'm doing. So if you don't mind, I'd really appreciate it. And again, thank you so much for all that you guys do. Have a great day.